Hey guys, Richie here. Welcome to the very first Bible study online video here at bordencc.org. Here's what we're going to do. Once a week at least, sometimes we might go more than once a week, but at least once a week we're going to release a video online that's going to be a part of this Bible study. So the first Bible study that we're going to do is we're going to just walk through the book of John. Super simple. The book of John is one of the Gospels. It is one of the main Gospels where we learn the most about Jesus as a person. It's a lot more personal than the other three. So what we're going to do is we're going to run through the book of John. It's probably going to take us a good long while to get through it because it is a pretty long book. So what we're going to start off today is, like I've said from the pulpit many times, before you do anything, before you study any piece of scripture or really any type of ancient or old document, you need to know what's going on with it first. Before you pick up Charles Dickens' classic, you have to understand what's going on in history, what's going on in culture when he writes this, to fully understand and fully grasp what he's talking about. So we have to do that with the Bible, with everything that we do, with every part of scripture that we study, so that we have to understand what's going on. So there are four main questions that we have to ask when we are studying a piece of scripture, studying a book of the Bible. And that's who wrote it, when did they write it, why did they write it, and what major problem is it solving? Basically, what is its overall purpose? So first of all, the book of John was written by, I'll give you one guess, and that's John. There is some debate over who wrote this, which John wrote it. There's obviously many Johns in the Bible, many Johns listed throughout the New Testament. But the overall consensus, and the one that I agree with personally, is that it is the disciple John, the one that's in the inner circle. John, the brother of James, the son of Zebedee. You see, they're called the sons of thunder when you study through the scripture there. But John, the disciple that Jesus loved, is, in my opinion, and the collective opinion of most biblical scholars, that John, the one that Jesus loved, is the writer of this book. It is also the consensus with the biblical scholars that he also wrote 1st, 2nd, and 3rd John, as well as the book of Revelation, that this one author wrote all 5 of those books. Okay, so that's number one. So the next question is, when did he write it? When was this book written? Now that's important because you have to understand what is going on in the culture when this was written. Most biblical historians believe that the synoptic gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, were written between the years of 40 and 60 AD, and that the book of John was written after that. So probably between the years of 60 and 70, 75 AD, that's when this book was written. Probably before 70, probably between 60 and 70, before the conquest where Rome destroyed Jerusalem. So that's the time frame we're looking at, in between 60 and 70. So why? Why did John write this? Well, the first 3 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, are known as the Synoptic Gospels. They are pretty parallel in everything they do. You can read the 3 of those almost continuous, and all of the stories are the same. But that's not the same in John. John is a little bit different from the other 3. A lot of the stories that the 3 hit, John doesn't even touch. And the reason for that is because John had already read the first 3 books. He already knew the stories that were circulating about Jesus. So what John did was he stopped and wrote what they had not written yet to add more to the story. So what is the main purpose of the book? What is John's main purpose in writing this book? Why would he sit down and write this, chronicle all of this about Jesus and his life? John's biggest goal, his biggest source, his biggest purpose for writing was to write out the Godhead of Jesus. He wanted to show Jesus as a part of God, not just as a man. When you read Matthew, Mark, and Luke, it shows Jesus as a person, which obviously he was. He was fully human while he was on earth. But John shows him more as a part of God while he was down on earth. You see that in the first chapter especially. The book of John is very theological, to where he shows that Jesus is a part of God. John also shows a lot of personal interactions between Jesus and other people, and Jesus and himself, and Jesus and the disciples. It's a very personal book, whereas you see the other three Gospels are more of a show Jesus from a public ministry standpoint to where John shows more private, behind the scenes almost type of things. So the book of John is a very simple book. It was written very simply. It's not this big scholarly work that he wrote. He wrote it very simple for the common everyday Jewish person to read back in the first century. So what we're going to do is that's going to be all for today. That's what, it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. But what I need you to do is next week, our video is going to be John 1, or our topic, our text is going to be John 1, 1 through 18. So we're going to talk about that. So before the next video comes out, I want to make sure you read it. And when the next video comes out, if you haven't read it, you can always hit that pause button and then read it. So it's pretty simple. So until next time, God bless. And we'll see you next time with John 1, 1 through 18. Thanks, guys. God bless, and y'all have a good one.